Welcome to Elegance in Every Step. I'm your maitre d', Mary Postlethwaite. We hope you've come famished. We've prepared the finest table just for you. Our special today is Hungry, a dish we've been perfecting for 21 seasons now. Your table is alongside another guest. It might feel a bit unusual. However, we encourage you to dive in and hear their story. Today, we're serving up a conversation about craving the right things in life. Sit back, enjoy a complimentary appetizer. Your host, Neil Matthews, will be along shortly to guide you through today's meal. Bon appetit.
Yes. Welcome in, one and all. Welcome to our table. You know, I was thinking about this as we began this Hungry series is when I think about going to a restaurant, what are the things I like the most about going to a restaurant? I like the fact of someone bringing me my food and I didn't have to cook it. Don't like having to make food. It just seems so hard to do. Bon appetit, as our friend Allie Murphy just invited us in. And so I'd like to invite you in to our table and to our conversation and help me welcome in my new friend, Cali. Cali, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Now, I love this because we've been asking people this question. I am hungry for, and you said always a good steak. I think that's just so fun to start with. So help me with this idea of what in your mind is a good steak.
So a ribeye would be my favorite. Normally when I go out, that's what I get. I don't like to cook. I don't like to clean. And I definitely don't like to clean the kitchen. I'm a little spoiled. I have a friend that will prep me meals. And if I want steak, I'll get steak. But when I go out, that's my go-to.
Now, why steak?
I can't cook it. If you said to me, I will give you $40 million if you can make me a good steak, I still couldn't make you a good steak. I would YouTube, I would Google, and it would turn out awful. And you would be like, you got $40 million riding on one activity. Couldn't do it. Don't know how to use the grill. None of it.
Now, there are those that don't eat meat that would say, why of all things a steak? Why not maybe a good chicken or maybe some salad? But you're just a meat girl from the sound of it, yeah?
I can make my own salad, but salad doesn't build muscle. So it's great. Be vegan, do your thing. I was vegan at one point, but it does not build muscle. And I am all about the gym and muscle building and longevity. And that comes from quality protein.
There it is right there. That just solved it all for me right there. Plus with this, Callie, you talk about the gym and you maybe talk about going out to eat. Is there a favorite pair of shoes that might be on your feet when you do said activities?
Yes, I have a pair of shoes that's 25 years old that have a heel like this. Leather and go all the way up. Like they don't make them anymore. And I can dance. I can walk 3 miles in them. I can go up and down the steps. They're like this wedge heel that's really, really nice. People talk about shoes because I have tons and tons of shoes. They don't make them like they used to. Let's say that. I've had these cobbled twice now. I wear them everywhere. When I want to go out and just have a good night, not have to worry about, are my feet going to hurt or what I have to take off and all that.
What color are the shoes?
Oh, they're brown. Believe it or not. Normally I have black, but these are brown.
You've noticed my color motif here, so I just was envisioning they needed to have a color for me to help my brain function.
They're brown, so they would fit kind of in your scheme. I could probably put little blue bows on them, and they would fit perfectly in that room.
I like the blue bow idea. That's a good idea. Let's go with that. Well, help us with this, because when you thought and we approached you and reached out to you in this idea of hungry, and this new season, again, it makes me hungry just thinking about it and talking about it. I'm going to have to probably have snacks as I begin these shows and do these shows, feeling I'm going to get hungry and I'm going to want something to eat or something to snack on. For you, when you think about being hungry and you think about the idea of food, what comes to mind for you outside of perhaps a meal or outside of perhaps what has been maybe your experience or maybe even you could call it your relationship with food?
I'm probably going to be different than most guests. I had an eating disorder most of my life. So my relationship with food was always toxic, meaning when you're happy, you eat. When you're sad, you eat. When you're anxious, you eat. Basically, food was my drug of choice. Back in the 90s, when you go to a counselor, you were either bulimic or anorexic. So bulimic was you eat and throw up, and then anorexic is you restrict. Well, I didn't do either. I just ate and ate and ate, but involuntarily threw up. Counselor sent me to the fat doctor. And back then, they had Fen-Phen, and they put me on Fen-Phen, basically speed, and I lost a ton of weight, but I got addicted to the drug. And then when they took it away because it was killing people, I switched to diet pills, which led to speed, and then I could eat whatever I wanted. So my relationship with food was still toxic, but I was using drugs to manage. Then I had to get sober and I had to relearn my relationship with food, is that food is there to give us life, not necessarily be an enjoyment type thing. Things I like cake, I like pie, I like ice cream, I love Ben and Jerry's. I mean, all those things are great, but they really don't have nutritional value. So then it became, well, we eat for enjoyment. So I had to relearn all of these things with food and how to sit down and eat to sustain life, as opposed to eat for pleasure or eat for pain.
Can't think of a football game or a basketball game that I don't have a bag of chips next to me, or a jar of that cheese. Probably awful for you. The queso's cheese or the Tostitos cheese. I love that. I love that in my Cool Ranch Doritos. I love crunching along, having maybe a Dr. Pepper next to me. See, again, I should not have talked about food because I'm already starting to get hungry. What you're saying is, for you, the shoes that we're in today, those nice shoes, those brown shoes that you described for us, food was a drug, as you're describing.
Yeah.
Where do you think that came from in your life and your background?
So my mother and my grandmother used food as a way to bring people together, but also handle issues. So my grandmother, she was old school. And whenever there was a decision to be made, she would have the ladies come over, about 8 or so of them, and they would bring baked goods. And they would sit around and drink coffee and eat junk food and discuss whatever the issue was. Somebody's divorced, somebody's kids not doing well in school, like the village. They did it around cake. So my grandmother always baked. She was a baker. So she would have not just, oh, here's a muffin. She would make a 3-tiery, 4-tiery cake with all this special stuff on it. And it was like an event. So all these get-togethers became events. And then my mother, whenever she was stressed out, would grab me and we would snack and we would eat. So if my mom was stressed or anxious, there would be food. So food became, and specifically sugar, became the way to handle any problem you have. If you're stressed, you eat. You're anxious, you eat. You're happy, you eat. And if you think about it, when you're watching your game, if they're losing and you had chips next to you, hand them out quicker because you're frustrated and you don't even realize you're doing it. And then when they're winning, you put the bag down and you're cheering, you're jumping up and down. Yay, everybody's excited. You didn't notice the chip. So it becomes this weird dichotomy and this weird relationship we have with food. And it's usually rooted in childhood. And then from there, we bring it into adulthood, whatever that thing is that you're using in childhood, and it becomes our safety blanket, our go-to. And then we have to relearn a way to exist. Chips aren't good for you. You don't need them to survive. Are they good? Sure. Is it a snack? Sure. But why is it associated with football or basketball or a sport? We think about snacks. Think about the movie theater. When you go to the movie theater, what do they have? Hot dogs, pretzels, popcorn, soda, junk. You associate that with a good time. When you go to the fair, what do they have? Funnel cake, burgers, fries. Again, a good time. Think about a birthday party. What do we have? Cake. Think about a wedding. What do we have? Cake. So it becomes a good time. We have this emotional connection to food. And the problem is we end up eating the wrong thing, or we end up eating for the wrong reason. And then we don't even know when we're full. We don't even know when we're hungry anymore. We're just so used to doing something like watching the game with chips. It becomes a habit. And then you don't think about it and you sit there and eat and you're like, wow, I just ate the whole bag. That's all right. Not a big deal. And then you do it again and again and again. It becomes this habitual ritual then.
I'm going to take you back in time for me when I was a little kid. This wonderful lady, who will remain nameless just in case she happens to listen to the show from time to time. She'll probably be able to figure it out real quick if she listens. So she had a rule in her house. You did not leave the table until your plate was clean. Seems like a good rule. Maybe others had that same type of environment that they grew up in. I remember one night in particular, we had spaghetti. Seems fine. Meat sauce, red sauce, and we had spinach, and it was steamed spinach. For those that know me, you know that I'm not really a big veggie fan. And I tried the spinach. I tried my good no thank you bite. I tried it. I didn't like it. And I was like, I'm not going to eat that. And I remember as a child sitting there, and now the spinach is now cold. It was warm. Now it's cold. And I remember like gagging down the spinach. And I think I got to like reduce some of the spinach so it wasn't as big of a pile. But I just remember thinking, I don't want to eat this. And now fast forward as an adult, I'll go out to dinner with my wife. My daughter sometimes tags along. And they'll eat their food and maybe they'll share a meal together. But undoubtedly, there is leftover food. My wife will maybe not finish all of hers, my daughter likewise. And so what happens is it all comes to dad. And I sit there and I finish their food after I've eaten my food. Now that I've described this to you, what are the dangers that you see if I continue that habit and that pattern?
So the first thing is you're going to end up diabetic. You're overeating. You're probably eating the wrong thing. You're also expanding your stomach. So your stomach is the size of your fist. So if you hold your fist up, that's the size of your stomach. That's the size of food you should eat, the whole plate. So that's everything. The protein, the vegetables, the starch, everything is the size of your fist. What happens in America is we have these big plates and we have this big starch, this big chunk of meat, and these veggies. So when you eat, you're never supposed to eat a starch and a protein at the same time. Your body won't break it down. So you need to eat veggies and a piece of meat, no starch. Starch later. We're not eating correctly. That's the first thing. The second thing is you have guilt around wasting food, and that comes from childhood. So it's if I don't eat this, people are starving in another country. My grandmother would say, there's children starving in India, and you don't want to eat your whatever it is. And that was an issue. That's why I was overweight as a child. And that's why I had insulin resistance. And that's why I had health problems, because I was eating too much food. The portions are too big. So that's the first thing. The second thing is it's also teaching your kids, you have to finish your plate, but if you don't do it, I'll do it for you. So it teaches your kids, it's okay if you don't do it, someone will do it for you. It also sends a different type of message. So we want to be careful the message we send around food that causes body image and body dysmorphia, and then how people perceive themselves. In my household, it wasn't, you have to eat all your food. It was, this is what we're having for dinner. And if you don't like it, you starve. And you can have a peanut butter and jelly. And I don't do liver. Family made liver. They used to make that cream chip beef on toast. I hated that. It was disgusting. My mom didn't cook. So we got like garbage, hot dogs, hamburgers, Hungry Man dinners. It was just straight up nasty. It was, if you don't eat it, here's peanut butter and jelly, which was no better for you. White bread, sugar, and peanut butter that was full of salt and chemicals. As a person who's trying to eat healthy and teach your kids good habits, the goal is to say, well, maybe if we portion smaller, maybe they'll eat less and we won't have all this extra food. So start thinking differently. Think outside the box and say, well, we're going to make macaroni and cheese and baked chicken and green beans. We don't need enough for 10 people. We need enough for 4 people, or maybe we'll have leftover, and give everybody a half portion and say, if you want seconds, we can do seconds. There's ways we can do things differently.
But I love what you're saying about the fact of we don't know that we're full. And I'm wondering about that in people's lives right now when it comes to food and this idea of what fulfills them and what satisfies them. Sprite had this really amazing tagline when it came to Sprite. It said, obey your thirst. And I remember that as a kid in high school, I thought, man, that is such a clever, fun little tagline, obey your thirst. But I'm wondering about this for you, is if you continued to maybe obey your thirst or obey your hunger, what would life and your world look like?
Well, first of all, if you fall prey to the media and the marketing, you're going to end up with some serious health problems. So Sprite is nothing but chemicals and sugar. There's nothing in that that's good for you. And just because they give you a command, obey your thirst, doesn't mean you have to. That's part of the problem. Like they used to say, Snickers really satisfies. Well, Snickers is junk and a couple peanuts. It's straight up junk. Does it satisfy you? No. They tell you it does, so you believe it does. So it's a conditioning. It's operant conditioning. We become conditioned to hear the media, and then we believe what they tell us, and then we follow what they say. They do this very subliminally too. So if you're driving down the road, Coca-Cola would do a bottle of Coke visually, and it would say thirsty ? And that was it. And if you see that, they say 5 times of seeing something, you buy it. You're going to start seeing it every day on your way to work, and you're going to, yeah, I am thirsty. And you'll get to work and go, God, I really want a Coca-Cola. And you won't even know why you're craving it. It's the subliminal messaging that we're getting. This is why those Super Bowl commercials are such a big deal. If you look and see how they compete on who has the better commercial. You know, for years, Anheuser-Busch had that Budweiser with the Clydesdale. They're showing beer and horses. They're showing nice horses and a nice sleigh ride and how happy everybody is. And if you drink this beer, you're going to be happy. Their beer's garbage. It's corn syrup and junk. And they're telling you you're going to be happy. So we see this, and not to off-step off of food, but you also see it with big pharma. There's this horrible drug on the market with all these side effects, and you see 2 people in Cancun on a beach, and they look happy, and they're pitching something that's going to kill you. They do it subliminally. Humans, we need to be educated on what is healthy and what's not healthy and know what we put in our body. And ultimately, we're responsible for making that choice. So if you're sitting down and you want potato chips, before you grab Ruffles, get something that's non-GMO, get something that's organic instead of Ruffles. You can make a better choice. You say, I want chips. I can choose complete garbage, or I can choose this one that's just a potato chip and oil and salt. You can make that choice and then make the better choice, and then eventually go, well, maybe I don't want potato chips. Maybe I'll have apple chips instead. Apples that are dehydrated, that's better for you. Make a better choice. And every time you do that, your body shifts and changes and it gets healthier. We start with the bad choices and try to make them a little bit better.
What would you say to this idea of the things you've hungered for other than food? That you're like, man, I was hungering after the wrong things. I was trying to satisfy my life in such a wrong way. What would that have been for you?
So for me, it was probably relationships. I always picked the wrong guy. Convicted felon, no job, like clockwork. There could be 20 men in a room, 19 good guys, good resume, great job. And I will pick the one complete disaster like clockwork. You want love. You want to be loved and taken care of and feel good. I've learned that guys that don't bring much to the table, the only thing they can give you is time. They don't have money. They don't have the good job. All they have is time. So all you get is time, which is love bombing, which makes you feel good in the beginning. And then you find out later, I'm dating a narcissist. I'm dating a borderline, picking the wrong guy again because I was looking for that love in the beginning. And this is what I'm ending up with. So that's a consistency. We're always looking for something. And we fill it with many different things. It can be food. It can be shopping. I see people shop all the time. They want something different. They're on Amazon Prime and they're like, boom, I bought shoes and they're all happy. They've got those brown shoes. And then a week later, they're like, okay, I need more. And they buy another pair of shoes. Oh, I got happy again because their dopamine in their brain is excited. And they go through this cycle. And we do it with men. We do it with women. We do it with objects, all different things. And then that allure wears off and we want something else. The reason we do it with food is it's cheap and it's legal and it's easy. You can go to the gas station and you can get a honey bun. You can get a donut. You can get a pack of M&Ms. And boom, as soon as you eat that, that sugar boosts your dopamine, your happy chemical. And 10 minutes later, you're excited from the sugar. Crash an hour later, but that little bit just kind of got you going. And then you got excited over it. Like, ooh, tomorrow night, I'm going to have a donut or I'm going to have Ben and Jerry's. And you start looking forward to things. And that's how we get addicted.
You talk about the eating disorder. If you didn't get that under control, where would life be in your mind?
So I'm 50 now. I would probably be on 5 or 6 different medications, blood pressure, sugar, insulin, all kinds of stuff. Didn't take care of my health. So in my 20s, I stopped eating sugar. I started working out. I started looking at fitness as a solution. I watch what I eat and I make sure I eat healthy. And I'm not on big pharma medications. I'm not in that situation where a lot of my friends are. My friends from high school call me and they're like 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight. My blood pressure's through the roof. My sugar's through the roof. I'm on 5 different medications. I don't know how to fix this. What do I do? How did this happen? It feels to them like it happened overnight. For 30 years, I've been working out every day and they didn't see that part. They're like, oh, well, it's so hard. Of course it's hard. You haven't been doing it. It's a habit. I was worried I would end up like that and made those changes in my 20s when they were still eating whatever they wanted because you could. Now in your 50s, you can't do that. You can't eat like you always did.
Did I hear that right? You don't eat sugar?
No. If I eat it, I'll eat it in moderation. Like I'll have a little bit here and there. I cut out sugar. I cut out white flour. Those are 2 things that mess with your insulin. If you mess with your insulin, that's when you start seeing like C-reactive protein goes up, your insulin goes up, you end up with diabetes, you end up with inflammation. And all of inflammation leads to disease. So then you just kind of go down that slippery slope of what disease am I going to get based upon the crap food I put in my body.
How did you eliminate sugar from entering in your mouth? Because it seems like everything nowadays has sugar in it. My mom says I even have sugar in me because I'm so sweet. I don't know if that's true or not, but she did say that once.
All moms say that. It was hard.
Wait, no, she meant it. Don't dismiss that. She meant it.
She meant it. She loves you dearly. Yes. It was hard for me. Sugar was my trigger food. I started with sugar in my coffee. That's where I started. That's the only thing I did because I would put more sugar than coffee in my cup. And the running joke was, do you want some coffee with your sugar? So I got rid of creamers and I got black coffee and a half and half. That's all I did. It was horrible. I remember the first week, irritable. This is stupid. I did it. And then I got accustomed to the taste. I was like, okay, now I'm going to take it out of all my drinks. So I went from drinking sweet tea to diet to unsweet. And then I went water, seltzer, unsweet tea, hot tea, coffee. Okay, I did my drinks and I lost 5 pounds. And I went, wow, that was interesting. And I was talking to a friend and she said, well, if you eliminate cakes, cookies, candies, brownies, you're probably going to lose a few more pounds. Okay. So I did. No more sweets. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have, bananas. I'm going to have fruit. But I still had like sugar in my yogurt, sugar in my pasta sauce. And then from there, I was like, well, I lost 10 pounds without the diet pill. So now let's try it all. I stopped eating yogurt because I don't like it. Took pasta sauce with no sugar. And then I started to realize, okay, I eat a lot of regular pasta, which is sugar. I ate a lot of white potatoes, which is sugar. So then I switched it to sweet potatoes and then a protein pasta, and I lost another 10 pounds. And I was like, oh my God, all of this is linked to sugar. And then I started to feel better. And the better I felt, the more I was like, I don't want to go back to this lifestyle. I had completely cut out fast food. I had completely cut out anything with a drive-through. That's not food. If you're going through and they're handing it to you in a bag in the first 5 minutes, it's not food. It's garbage. And this is way back before Supersize Me came out of McDonald's.
Well, I just know that there is a young, I would even say super hot, attractive lady that listens every week to my show, that she struggles to give up sugar. So I just wondered if there is an easy way that you could advise said super hot, attractive young lady that she could hear you right now and say, okay, if Cali can do it, the queen can do it.
So start with one thing that you can live without. What's the one thing that has sugar in it you can live without? And it could be yogurt. Let's say you do ice cream at night before bed and you say, I have to have my ice cream. Okay. What can you replace it with? What are your options? Go down a deep dive at Google. What can I do? So I will take protein mix and a banana and dry peanut butter, and I will make peanut butter protein, and I'll freeze it, and it tastes like ice cream. That's an option. That's a healthy option. There's no sugar in it. So what can you replace? Start with that. And then what can I take out? What's something I wouldn't notice? If you eat a lot of white bread, switch it to multigrain bread. That drops your glycemic index. It drops your sugar. So you look for the little alternatives first. And then as you do that, you feel better. And you're like, wow, I did that. I actually did it. Once you realize you can do it, that's when you add something else. Well, now I'm not going to have Coca-Cola. I'm going to have a Diet Coke. Either way, they're both garbage. But you're going to have a diet instead of a Coke. Okay, great. Then maybe you'll have a seltzer water instead of a diet. So it sort of goes down compartmentalized. And then when you realize, wow, I've gone a whole week with no Coca-Cola, I can do this. I really can. And then you feel better. Little changes to start.
So that's what you would say to this super hot young lady.
I would.
Okay. With your eating disorder, has that helped you in your work with helping folks?
So that's what got me into this industry. I wanted to be an FBI agent. I had ended up in college. We would go out every Thursday night, 3 female roommates for ladies' night. And they would always get a boyfriend or a hookup. And I would always come home alone. And one night I was home alone and I was sitting on the floor. And I had baked a cake that day. So I'm eating cake with my hands. There's cake on the dog. There's cake on the wall. It was a mess. My roommate walked in and she said to me, she goes, there's something wrong with you. And I was like, this is normal. It's what we did in my house. You know, I was upset. I'm eating cake. So I went to the school counselor and that's when they said, well, you don't really have an eating disorder. Put me to the fat doctor. I got on the pills and I was a psych major. So I'm taking psychology classes. You pick your classes and addiction. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll take that. And I'm sitting in this addiction class and everything this professor's teaching, I'm going, that's me. That's me. That's how I'm perceiving things. That's how I'm behaving. That's what I'm hearing. So I started studying addiction a little bit more and I went, those are my people. I get this. And then I ended up doing my internship in a prison working with drug and alcohol prisoners. My mentor was ex-CIA. So he taught me body language and he taught me people don't tell you the truth. They show you the truth. And when I got out of college, I got my first job and I was so good at it because I was doing body language. I was reading people. I got a promotion. I was like, I think I'm onto something. I might be good at this. And that's what I kind of stuck with it. And now I have my own private practice and I work with the top 1 to 5% of the population. We do drug and alcohol. We do food addiction. We do porn. We do sex addiction, shopping, anything you can think of. We do. I think my experience and understanding what it really is and how it works is key to how I got here. Because if I didn't have that experience, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't be able to work with somebody and say, I get it. I understand how you feel.
Would you say you've been in their shoes?
Absolutely. Yeah. For years, I walked in their shoes. Yeah.
I say that so often, and it is funny to laugh at that joke. But I really think so many times in life, we go through something, or maybe we've put ourselves through something. And I always think to myself, is this for me or is this for someone else? And maybe it's for both. Maybe it was for me to learn, and now it's for me to teach somebody else, or to let somebody else know, hey, you're not alone. Let me put my arm around you. You got this. I did it. You can do it too. That 80s, 90s era of life. And it seemed like we had these infomercials that were just blasting us. And even nowadays, we hear about Ozempic and all these weight loss ways and carnivore and low carb and keto and all the things. in your experience, I'm leaning heavily into this. Like if I was near you, I'd probably push on you a little bit. Like what is the right formula in your mind, in your experience that really has lasting weight loss success?
I tell all my clients this. Don't look at it like a diet or weight loss. This is a lifestyle change. It's permanent. It's not something you're just doing for now till you lose 50 pounds and fit in the wedding dress. You're not going back to that. You have to be committed to it. If you don't, it won't work. Also, I don't agree with fasting. I don't agree with the dieting concept, because what happens is you start living in lack. So let's say I say to you, you can watch your football, but you can't have chips and you can't have soda anymore. Now you're going to have water and you're going to have, I don't know, a mango. You're going to look at me and go, I'm not doing that. Why would I do that? Well, that's what you're going to do. And you're going to say, what, forever? Well, yeah, well, I'm not doing that. If I reduce you down from chips, like junky chips, to healthy chips, maybe to popcorn, and then maybe to something else, eventually you're going to be like, I feel better. I'm good. I'm okay. That's how you have to look at things. It's a lifestyle change, not a temporary diet. And that's why people fail. So a lot of people will say, well, I'm going to go on a diet. They always start on a Monday morning, like clockwork. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're going to pig out. Pizza, wings, soda. We're going to get it out of our system. We say we're going to eat anything we want. Monday comes along and we wake up and we say the same thing. Crap. It's Monday. And then you have your little breakfast, you have your little lunch, and by the time it's dinner time, you're hungry, you're hangry, you're irritable, everything's getting on your nerves. Why me? This is stupid, but you make it through Monday. Tuesday, you get up and you're like, okay, new day, I got this, I'm good. You have your little breakfast, you have your little lunch, you're right back where you started at 3 o'clock, you're hungry, you want a Snickers bar, but you're not going to have one. Now it's dinner time and the kids want pizza. And you're going, we're not having pizza, we're going to have chicken, asparagus, and a sweet potato. They don't want that. So now you're ordering pizza for the kids and the pizza comes, you're smelling it, you're looking over it, you're going, God, I just want a small piece, just a taste. I'm going to have a tiny little, just a taste of this pizza. And you're looking at it and your wife's looking at you going, no, Neil, you're on a diet. You're not having pizza. And you're going, you know what? If she leaves that room, she won't even know I had a tiny. So then you put it on the kid's plate. And what do? You take a little piece off and you stick it in your mouth and try to hide it and you feed it to the kids so it doesn't look like you had it. You got this whole plan. What happens is Wednesday, you wake up and you're like, pizza was so good. And it's still in the fridge. There's 2 pieces left. It's cold. If I could just have one piece, then you start negotiating. I'll just have one. Just what? Just one piece for breakfast. And then I won't anything else all day. You negotiate. Then you go have that piece of pizza. And then you get a case of the F-its, right? Now it's noon and you're going, well, I had pizza. I might as well have Chick-fil-A because I already screwed up the diet. Now you have Chick-fil-A. Now you justify the Chick-fil-A and say, well, I can have Wendy's for dinner because I had Chick-fil-A. At this point, I'm all screwed up. And now it's Thursday and you're going, wait a minute. It's Thursday night football. So it's football. So now I'm going to, I cannot not have wings. It's football night. And you know what? I screwed up yesterday. We'll start Monday. Then you go back to the whole I'll start on Monday thing and you pig out again on the weekend. And you never get out of this rut because you keep telling yourself, I'll start Monday. That's the problem.
Oh, Cali, I wish the people could see me. I wish they could see me because you just described my life. You did. You did. In high school, I was maybe 180, 263, 180. I was a rail. I'd turn sideways, I'd probably disappear. Fast forward 2000-ish. I got a job at Quiznos. They're no more. Quiznos was amazing. The cool part about my job is I was a supervisor and then I became a manager and I got a free meal. That was my perk. So I got a free meal every time I worked. So I ballooned up. I did not bulk up. I got fatter. I would eat just all the bad sandwiches. So fast forward, now I'm 40. My wife is starting to want to get in shape. And so I did one Jillian Michaels video workout with her. I hate Jillian Michaels to this day. She's probably the sweetest person ever, but I don't like her. I did one workout and I was like, I'm done. I'm out. And I said, I'm going to go run. And that started a running journey for me. I started running 5Ks. I ran a couple 10Ks. I actually have ribbons and medals over here. You can't see them, and really got into running for like 4 or 5 years. And I always ran heavy. Ever lose weight because I never changed. Guess what? You could probably guess it. I never changed my diet. I thought running would counteract that. It didn't. It didn't do anything. I probably could have been a lot faster had I been a little less heavy. To present, 45. I tried carnivore a couple of years ago, and I did carnivore, just strictly meat. No processed meat. I did strictly animal product meat. You probably heard of carnivore. You're shaking your head, so I'm going to guess yes. And I went from 267. I dropped down to about 222, 224, somewhere in there. So obviously quite a bit of weight in that 3-month period. And now, present day, I can't get back on that carnivore wagon again. What have I done wrong? Fix me. Bet you others are in my shoes and they're like, yeah, Neil, shamefully, my hands up.
Diets don't work long term. Diets are for a short term. So you lost all that weight in 3 months. But what you did was you put your body in a ketosis state for 3 months. So all it could do was burn fat. That's not sustainable. That's great for a kickoff, but your body is going to start burning itself. It'll burn its own muscle, which is what started to happen. That's why you plateau. So I tell everybody, don't look at a diet. Don't read the South Beach diet. Don't read the keto diet. Don't do the carnivore diet. It's a lifestyle change. You have to sit down and say, okay, what in my food journey here is unhealthy? So just to give you an idea of how I eat. For breakfast, I eat chicken and I eat green beans. That's what I start with. Breakfast in America is garbage. If you're sitting down and having eggs and toasted bacon, that is not good for you. So I start with actually food. For lunch, I'll do a salad. I'll have some chicken on it. I might do a sweet potato. I have people say, can I have sweet potato fries? Sure. Sweet potatoes are great. They boost tryptophan. They boost your serotonin, your dopamine. They do all kinds of cool things. And then for dinner, I'll do the same thing. So is my diet boring? Sure. My diet is very boring. It's a lot of chicken. I don't do a lot of red meat. I have a steak when I go out. I do a lot of fish, do a lot of salmon. Those are all really good foods. And then the snacking things need to be like nuts instead of chips, instead of popcorn. So it's what can you have in place of that thing that you're eating that's junk. So if you stick to something like that, you will lose weight, you will burn fat, you will feel good, and you will maintain that. And that's the goal. When you're in your 40s, it's maintaining. Once you hit like 45, you're going to have trouble losing weight. And whatever weight you're at, you're going to be stuck at. And I tell people that not to scare them, but once you hit like 50, if you're overweight, your body's not going to all of a sudden shed weight because you're holding on to that. Especially a woman, you've got perimenopause, you've got menopause, your body's not going to start burning fat. It's all about how you eat. Let's say you want to go to Wendy's and have a burger. Go get a double burger, but don't eat the bun. That's what you do. So if you're going to eat garbage, have garbage, don't have fries with it. You don't do a meat and a carb. So think of it that way. You want to have a greasy burger with the football game and all kinds of crap? Go for it. Just no bun, no chips. Have the burger, have some veggies. Start burning fat that way, and you'll see your body lean out and you'll feel better. But it's all about those choices and what can I make that's better than the thing I'm actually eating right now.
I mean, I wasn't talking about myself. I was talking about someone else, of course. The story I shared was not me. I don't know who that I was just talking about. I have no idea. Well, Cali, I love what you're sharing. I love what you're bringing to our proverbial table. I wonder about that younger you. Would she recognize the young lady that sits before me now?
Probably not, because I didn't know there was an alternative way until I figured it out. And I got sober on a yoga mat. My journey led me to the ER. My pill problem led me to the ER, but the doctor told me I was going to die when I was 23 because my heart had too much stimulant. I said, no way. 6 months later, different ER, different doctor, same problem. He said, you have to get sober. Well, to stop the diet pills, I had to stop the eating problem. I was 5'2", 160 pounds. I was a big girl and I wasn't going anywhere low. I was going up. So I had to learn how to do that. And a friend of mine drugged me to yoga. I didn't want to do it. I complained. I said, I can't touch my toes. This is stupid. It's hot. There's no water. And she said, shut up. God. For only 5 minutes, by the way, 5 minutes into a 90-minute class. And I was done. Just do it. And I'm like, okay. So I did it. And afterwards, the instructor came up and he said, I'm going to teach you how to manage your emotions on a yoga mat because food addiction is all emotion. Eating is emotional. So he taught me. He said, every time you want to open that fridge, 10 sun salutations. And I remember I went, oh, that's going to take me 20 minutes. He goes, that's my point. It takes 21 minutes to change your brain. And I went, really? He goes, try it. I'm like, it's crap. I did it. First time I did it, I was like, I don't want garbage. I don't want food. Okay. And I did it again and again and again. And I started to realize he was boosting my dopamine with exercise. Then I started just doing squats. I'm like, it's quicker, it's faster, I can do it in Target. So I would just do 10 squats. I'm like, that would change my brain. And I'm like, this is amazing. But I didn't know any of that until I actually was in it and someone said, try this. And of course I went, that's dumb, because I'm in Target, looking at stuff, doing squats, I'm like, okay, but I did it. And the more I did it, the better I felt. And the better I felt, it was awesome. And you learn a lot. Like, you never go grocery shopping when you're hungry. Never, because you will buy nothing but junk. Trust me. So you always eat before you go. And then we eat with our eyes. We eat with our senses. During the day, I had a client, for example, who would go grocery shopping and she would tell me, I don't know what's happening, but I'm always buying cookies. And I don't know why. I don't know why. Why am I buying cookies when I get groceries? It's clockwork. So I went with her one day and we walked in. The cookies are right there and they're baking cookies. And I said to her, do you smell the cookies? And she goes, yeah. And I'm like, you're smelling them and your brain is going, I want that. So I went over and I said, when do you guys not bake? And they said 6 p.m. on. I said, you are now going to grocery shop at 7 o'clock at night instead of 9 o'clock in the morning. Sure enough, didn't want cookies because there's no smell. So there's so many little tricks we learn. You change your routine, you change what you buy, you change what aisles you go up and down. Grocery store around the outside is food. All those little aisles is food-like product. Well, guess where your beloved chips are? Up and down those little aisles, right? With food-like product. So if you start shopping around the outside of the grocery store and not going up and down, that's real food. So you make those changes.
Wait a second. There's an outside area to the grocery store? I only thought it was the aisles. That's where all the food was, no?
I know. I was married to someone like you. He would go up and down, Reese's Pieces, potato chips. I would send him to the grocery store and he would come back with nothing to eat. I'm like, where's the food? He's like, what do you mean? We have chips, we have popcorn, we have Reese's Pieces, we have cake. And I'm like, what are we having for dinner? Like, where's the food?
He got mozzarella sticks. Let the man alone.
Oh my God, he would come with those. Yes. In a box, and then red sauce. And I'm like, what are we doing with that? It's
What's wrong with
cheese.
that? There's nothing wrong with mozzarella sticks.
Oh my God, it's cheese. Like, you're not even supposed to eat cheese, let alone fried cheese.
Yeah, exactly. It's fried cheese. Wow, Kelly, come on. If there is a woman, or perhaps maybe even a man, that is listening to you right now, and they're thinking, what Cali is saying sounds darn near witchcraftish, sounds hippy-dippy, sounds unobtainable. They say, you know what? It might be easier to run a 12-minute mile rather than change my eating habits. Your response would be what?
Abs are made in the kitchen. So if you have weight around the middle of your body, your stomach area, or that little fupa that women say they don't like, all the running, all the yoga, all the Pilates, all the Zumba, all the Jillian Michaels in the world is not going to fix that. That is in the kitchen. So abs is in the kitchen. You want abs, you want that weight off your middle, you got to have it in the kitchen. Everything else you can build in the gym.
I like that you said that. The fupa, is that how you say it?
Fupa. Yeah.
Okay.
That little like belly that women are always like, oh my God, it sticks out. I can't stand it. It's called a fupa.
And how is that taken off? How do you get that off in your mind?
It's lean eating. So it's chicken. It's no rice. It's green beans. It's sweet potatoes. It's no white flour. It's no sugar. It's no preservative foods. It's low salt. It's all the things you don't like. So our food has so much preservative in it that when you eat something, you crave more. Like, if you think about it, if you eat one potato chip, why do you have to have two? It's the crap they put in it on your tongue that makes you go, oh, I want more. I want more. I want more. When you buy a bag of M&Ms, you don't have 3. You eat the whole bag. You throw the bag away. It's the same thing. We eat with our eyes. We don't eat with our taste buds anymore. So if you start taking sugar away, when you eat a banana or a bunch of grapes, it's going to be super sweet. Right now, it's not. If you're eating cakes, candy, and all that preservative stuff, when you eat a banana, it doesn't taste sweet. When you take that all out of your diet 2 weeks later, you're going to realize how sweet something is.
I hate bananas, by the way, just so you know. Hate them. Hate them, hate them, hate them. You know, I found this interesting quote, and we put it on our little questionnaire, and I'm curious how people are answering it, and you answered it kind of uniquely, so I want to share this. Here's the quote. By the way, this is a true or false, so you can answer at home, listener. But true or false, if respect is no longer served, it's time to leave the table. Why? And your answer was kind of surprising to me. Yes. All caps, by the way. Do not devalue yourself. And you added an exclamation point at the end of that. Why did you write that?
People will settle instead of being disruptive. About 5 years ago, I won the award at the Huffington Post for being the top 100 female disruptor. If I would have settled, I would not have built my business to 7 or 8 figures. I would have settled. I got hit hard in my industry from a lot of men that didn't want me in the space. They didn't want me doing what I'm doing. And they pushed and pushed and pushed, and I pushed back. And I earned my seat at the table. Now they respect me. They didn't then. They thought I was a joke. And when I showed them what I could do and I brought the table to them and I said, watch, they sat back and I outmarketed them and I've outdone them. And that had never been done by a female in my space. If they don't respect you, you either earn it or you take it. My whole thing was I got up from the table and said, I'll build my own. I don't need to come to your table. If you don't want me here, that's fine. But I'll do my own. And now every single one of those competitors comes to me for training. I train all their staff. The same people that said, we don't want you doing this, now come to me and go, oh, we hear your training's the best on the market. Here's my staff. I go, I'll take your money. No problem.
Again, when respect is no longer being served, it's okay to leave the table. And I think the same could be said about food. You're a grown adult. By the way, most people listening to me right now at the sound of my voice, you are a grown adult. You can leave and get up from the table. Mom and dad aren't there anymore to tell you, no, sit down, Johnny, sit down, Susie. You must eat everything on your plate before you get up. You can make your own choices. My sister says all the time, I'm going to use a bad word. So here we go. Disclaimer time, bad word time. I'm a grown-ass woman. I can do what I want. I laughed the first time she said it. There's so many times in life that I feel like we've been told, we've been programmed, we've been whatevered, and we can't get up from the table. We feel like we're somehow paralyzed to get up. And what I hear you say, and a lot of what you've been saying to me today, is listen, nobody's forcing you to stay at the table.
That's true. Yep. Nobody's forcing you to sit there. Remember, now it's your choice. It wasn't when you were little. You were told you had to do it. Now you don't have to. I threw food out all the time and I don't feel bad. I grew up as a welfare child. We didn't have money. I mean, we had garbage food. We barely had any food half the time. And half the time when the money ran out, there wasn't much to eat. Now I'm not going to eat it. I'll feed it to the dogs. I'll throw it out because I'm not going to put myself in a physical situation 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. I needed to eat all my green beans or all of my spinach. My caregiver said, you have to sit here till you do it. I don't have to do that anymore. And it's okay to not do that. And you have to give yourself permission to not force feed and to not stuff food down. It's called stuffing. You stuff the food down with your emotions. That is not healthy in any way, shape, or form.
Because you're a grown-up. You don't have to anymore. Well, Cali, if people are interested in knowing more about you, maybe reaching out, they know you have some great ideas, even though they're maybe a little skeptical. How can they reach you? And is there a social media of choice that you love to hang out on?
So I'm on everything. They can Google me, Dr. Cali Estes, or go to theaddictioncoachonline.com, soberondemand.com, even theaddictionsacademy.com, or just Cali Estes, Dr. Cali Estes. I'm pretty much everywhere.
You're like Visa. You're everywhere you want to be.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Cali, we're going to play a really fun game. It's called Heal Hustle. And here's Zach to tell us more about Heal Hustle.
It's now that time in the show to play the fastest growing game in the podcast world. We call it Heal Hustle. Today, our guest will try to answer all 6 of these questions in 60 seconds or less to win a prize from our prize closet. Audience, feel free to play at home. Let's put 60 seconds on the clock. Ready, set, hustle!
The game begins in 3, 2, 1.
Cali, here you go. 60 seconds. One person you would trade places with for a week.
Oprah Winfrey.
Nice. What's a guilty pleasure you have?
Ooh, Amazon Prime.
Who doesn't? Best compliment ever received.
Nice ass.
Okay. Worst piece of advice ever received.
Oh, don't spend money. Because if you spend money, you'll never have enough.
All right. What's something you wish you were better at?
Poker.
Okay. What never fails to make you laugh?
Joe Coy.
What is it?
Joe Coy, the comedian.
Oh, Joe Coy. Okay. All right. There you go. Nice job. Way to go. Heal Hustle. That is Heal Hustle. Well, Cali, I'm really excited that we got to connect. I'm really excited by what you shared. I really love the fact of talking about it is a reality and it can be a reality to give up sugar. So I really love that you shared that. That was probably one of my favorite parts. I just want to say thank you so much for being here, and I really appreciate the time you gave us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys and gals, kids and campers alike, that is it. That is all. That is, in fact, I know you guessed it, that's our show today. So let me ask you this question as we go. Would you consider going a week without sugar? I know what I just said sounds completely preposterous. That's a big word. I loved it. I chose it specifically for this moment. Preposterous. Is that completely out of the question for you? Can you do it? Tell you what, I don't think you can. I really don't. I don't think you can. I don't even think you should try. Okay, I'm 100% lying. I'm going to do it. I want you to join me in doing it. I'm going to try baby steps now. Got to start small. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I'm going to go a week, Wednesday to Wednesday, no sugar. Will you join me in that? See where that goes. Let's do it together. Let me know if you're willing to do it. Let me know if you're willing to take said challenge. Challenge accepted. You can let me know at opspodcast.com. It's a great place to let me know that you too are going sugar-free for a week. You can let us know on the socials at OPS Podcast Show under Facebook, Instagram, and X. Remember, we're going sugar-free. Let me know. You can also, again, as I said, let us know on the socials. We'd love it. Tag us even. Sugar-free for a week. Again, don't forget this before we go. Remember, when you walk in other people's shoes, you really do get a different perspective on life. Thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned till next week when we're sugar-free and we walk in other people's shoes.